Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Natchitoches-NSU Folk Festival. Today we're doing a narrative session called Preserving French Culture. I'm Sheila Richmond. Today is July 15th, the 9 o'clock session, and we're here today with, I have to say, world-renowned, Gerard Dupuy.
Ça, c'est un compliment.
From Avoyelles Parish, and he has done quite a lot for preserving French culture. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, j'étais né, I was born, hey, I got to do this, in my big parish of Avoyelles. Got to do this for my parish.
There you go.
Chamber of Commerce and all. But anyway, I was born in a little town on the Red River, in an old hut my daddy had constructed out of cypress from the swamp, from Johnson-Lake Jonson, Lac Jonson. He cut down the trees and made our family home by hand. And it was a cold little cabin, but we survived. Man, times was a lot harder than they are now. A lot harder than the air conditioning and all. In fact, last night I just about froze in the hotel. But anyway, I was raised in Avoyelles Parish. That's near Marksville. But we on the banks of the Red River, we River Cajuns, Red River Cajuns. Not much different than like Cane River and all that, which was a channel of the Red River. Our culture runs deep, and I always analyze that, why our culture persisted like that. First of all, until they constructed R-49 near Bunkie, there were no four-lane highways over there. Alexandria was our biggest city around there. And they were English,
yes.
American based.
Les Américains.
Well,
Les Américains.
And by the way, before I start, we were all Americans. My folks have fought in the War for Independence, the 1812 War in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And of course founded some of the French settlements. Barbin de Bellevue was at the Balise, south of New Orleans, before it was instituted. And I'm proud to know that Natchitoches, dans la 18th siècle, in the 18th century, 1714 that is. Mm-hmm. 1714, c'était farmé. It was founded. Mm-hmm. And very pleased to be over here. You'll have an ancient place with the Indians and the Cajuns and the French. First of all, going back to that, I guess Huey Long was a big one to making roads. All in Louisiana, making roads. In fact, they had a tape on that. Making roads all in the inside of Louisiana and all to facilitate the farmers so they could haul their produce, and the fishermen, of course, on the streams. But he was a big one. But we don't have any four-lane highways other than a little part of I-49 that passes through our parish. Big towns, Lafayette was far away. Mm-hmm. Opelousas was far away. Of course, now it's not that far, but it was far away. You take a trip there, it was a big town. Isolated, we were isolated. The next thing different about our parish is that we do have some Acadians over there, but not a majority of Acadians. We had some, there was a migration of Acadian people for the boll weevil, the sweet potato boll weevil, invaded by Sunset and all. And we had some Légers that moved over here, some other Cajuns that came, or Acadians. By the way, before we start, my term for Cajun is exclusive for all French people. They don't have to talk French. They have an ancestry of some French, whether it's been French colonial or direct from France or Canada. In fact, in my family, I'm part Normand, Come from Normandy, France, but this came from Normandy to Quebec, long time ago, near Montreal and Quebec. And that's the Normans. And that word was made for the Norsemen. See, Norseman. Had a big part in the Crusades as well.
You have a mixed heritage then.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, considering all the way, if you go back as far as the Norsemen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and a lot further. Okay. I had a weird story, but anyway, so in a Valls parish, and we a mixture of, that was a Spanish fort over there a long time ago. And by the way, if you listen to Marion Marcotte, I gotta plug Marion. He's dead today. But if you want to really learn old Cajun French, the old one, you listen to Tales by Marion Marcotte. He uses, in fact, in his time in his tales, it's a link. It's a link between our notre langage en France. And he speaks all of Valls Cajun. He's from Moreville, Louisiana. Mm-hmm. And he even talks about a blunderbuss to shoot the pot go. We had an ancient festival. I conducted last festival with Mr. William Carmouche. And it's about a rooster that the Spanish would put on a pole at the Spanish fort. They'd put a rooster on top of a pole, a wooden rooster, by the way. It was not alive. And the girls from the surround, like around Marksville and all, they'd get the ribbon out their hair, and they'd put it on the wings of the rooster. And the rooster was mounted above a pole, a post, and I'd be about 25 feet high. And it'd get like about 40 feet, maybe a little more from the pole. No, it's 40 yards, 40 yards. And they would shoot. They'd shoot that rooster called the pot go. And if they knock a ribbon from one of the girls' hair down, because they would splinter, you know, with a shot, mm-hmm. They'd put all kind of scrap iron and all in the blunderbuss and all that, and in their muskets. And if they shoot a ribbon down, they get to have a date with a girl the rest of the day, I guess.
At least she didn't have to marry him, huh?
No, she didn't have to marry him. It was just, you know, at that time, it was real formal, like, and strict. Very strict. So that was a festival of the pot go. And after they finished busting all the rooster, they'd hand an axe. Sometimes a hache à deux taillons. It's a axe with two sides, two-sided axe, in case one side would get dull. And all the members of the pot, in the pot go, taking the part of the pot go, would get one chop on a pole. That'd be a good festival for this area, the pot go. And they'd get one chop all around the pole. And the last one that'd do it and the pole would fall like that, he'd be the winner. He'd win a little prize, un petit cadeau. Mm-hmm. And it was very interesting. And the custom kind of died out until Mr. Wilbur Carmouche. He was about 80-something, 85, still a contractor, still building houses, a strong man, and rich in his culture, Cajun culture. We conducted that one, I guess it was back in 1976, something like that. And it phased out. We did one in Montclair, and that was the last one in Montclair, the one I remember. So that custom died out. It's no longer alive. Mm-hmm. We're slowly losing, you know, modern times, what's happening, huh? Computers, phones, everybody's on them, instant contact, but it leads to amalgamation of a culture. And sometimes the culture gets left behind in that. It gets diluted. It's just like if you want your coffee strong or weak. Heck, nobody likes weak coffee. Too much, maybe they do, I don't know. Being a French colonial Cajun From a boy, we like it strong. We like the coffee strong. I guess you can judge a culture by the strength of the coffee, you know. Yeah. So anyway, I lived there all of my life till I went to University LSNU, and I went there. I went to LSU at first, and then after that to LSU, and I got my degree in education. And I taught in the public schools in Falls Parish for 10 years, at Mansura and at Evergreen. Evergreen, a little school. In fact, they had the students serving the lunch. It was so small. Very small school, but very, very nice. Very good school. And so anyway, I taught there. And then I had an opportunity to change or to go in another tangent. And it was in Department of Corrections at Angola, at Louisiana State Penitentiary. And I was in adult education. And I was over there for 24 years. Combined with my 10 years, I was able to retire from teaching. Or I was an instructor at Angola. Very, very good years, very good years. It was there I got to meet Johnny Cash, bring his band to Angola, have a good time with the 25th anniversary year, and other performers as well. And that came over there. They have some famous ones on the tour, on the Christian tour. Mm-hmm. And a lot of history over there, a lot of history at Angola. They have a museum. If you want to go to a good place, go to a museum. Mm-hmm. A very, very nice, good people to work for. Mm-hmm. And so there, I got my adult ed certification while I was working there. And then I was with the technical college, Louisiana Technical College out of Jumonville. You don't know where it's at? Jumonville. That's out of New Roads. New Roads,
you switched parish.
Well, they just handled it for the prison. Mm-hmm. And then at last, before I retired, they had Folks Technical College. That's near Clinton, Louisiana, I believe it is. That came over. So that's my working career. Now, other than that, while I was working, of course, I had to raise a family. And going to Angola, I was up about maybe 4:30 in the morning. Go all the way past Simsport, all the way to the Mississippi River, from the Red River where I lived all the way to the Mississippi. If you go on my website, they have where they filmed me on Louisiana Public Broadcasting and Charles LaRock film that I did, my first one, where I played my bass fiddle in the P-roll. Mm-hmm. Johnson Lee. So
what other French cultural things are going on in Falls Parish, and how do you contribute?
All right. Well, we have a quota field has been coming in. By the way, quota field, it used to be, just formal French and all. But I believe Charles LaRock is a director, state director. He notices our customs. And a big thing is when you come into a country, don't destroy the culture. And right now we do have lessons in formal French. We're trying to get it instituted in the schools, but of course it's like this parish. Funds, and of course the arts and funds are not too much these days, I don't believe. But anyway, I want to add that Coda Field is doing a good service in our parish, and they are working with our people, and they need to continue working with our local people. If you want to get a representative of a language, you go to a person that's an old farmer, has been a farmer. He knows, he'll tell you. My old teacher in high school at Marksville, he said, you go to college, you get a PhD and all that. He said, go talk to old farmer when you come back. He'll tell you something you never knew.
Exactly.
From observation and living that crude life, that rough life, a very rewarding life. I'm not down in the farm at all, but he is important. And so Mr. Eric Leger, the Cajun music, I play some traditional French music, Cajun music. Mr. Eric Leger came out of Sunset when the weevils infested the potatoes. And all Mr. Gabi Leger, what is that and all. And Mr. John Uba. And they came from there and they established in Avoy's Parish, the Quibidos, established in Avoy's Parish with sweet potato. So they came and they had good lands on there. And you know our little parish is one of the leaders in sweet potato production in the state. And we have good, we on that prairie, that Avoy's Prairie has good potato land, sweet potato land. It makes a sweet potato sweet. So that's another plus. Our tourism commission is working very well. Wilbert Cormouche, working very well with our community. It's enlivening again. Now the key is how much French do you instill and still preserve the native language? Because our French is a very old, archaic type French. You'd be speaking maybe a Shakespearean English. Because we moved here from the 1700s, 1600s, we were in Louisiana. 1699, Lemoyne, Pierre Lemoyne, and Iberville came. And so, they talked the old language, although they said that the records, on the written records, they were educated, highly educated Frenchmen from France. And my ancestry came direct from France, near Bordeaux, over here, the Dupuys. And then the Normans came from Quebec. The Barrys, on Port Barry, they came from France, I believe. And so anyway, we come from all, I do have some Indian blood, being in Avoy's Parish. The Junots. The Junots, I'm related to them. And so one of the brothers came and settled in Avoy's Parish, and the other one founded Juneau, Alaska. There were two brothers that came. So anyway, names and people were split. A famous epic poem of Evangeline, a Longfellow. So anyway, that's some of the history of the parish. Again, we atypical in Avoy's because we kind of fish out of water. Acadiana, we kind of on the outskirts of Acadiana. Bunkie. Right. Bunkie is kind of dividing 50 and 50, 50 French, colonial French and Avoysian, and 50 English-speaking Americans. So,
aren't there a number of festivals that still go on in Avoy's Parish that are related to French traditions?
Let's see. Well, we did have the Mardi Gras in Montclair, and we phased that out the last time. We had a count of 500 horse riders. And of course, we were having a grand old time in a little community until it got bottled up, and we had 2 accidents that last one. I was playing, and we had 2 accidents that happened, 2 fatalities.
Oh, wow.
One recently died, and I want to give him my respect. And one that was riding on the float, it got passed over on the float. But anyway, we cut it down. We stopped it after that. But we had a big festival, Mardi Gras festival.
Don't you have Cochon de Lait?
We have Cochon de Lait, thank you, in Mansura. That's been going on, an old state festival, a big festival.
Can you explain what that is for folks who don't know?
Yes, Cochon de Lait, that's our word for a young pig. They say a suckling pig, but it's a little older than that. And we hang them in front of an oak wood fire and cook them like the old days. Hang them by the feet and then by the heads up like that, and switch them all around.
About how
Mr.
many?
Fuqua knows about that too. In March.
About how many pigs do they cook?
Ooh, I'm sure it's hundreds.
Hundreds.
Yeah, I'm sure it's maybe 100. I don't know, something like that. They pile all that oak wood and all. Like right now, they storing it for next. I believe it's Mother's Day.
So that's
Mother's Day weekend.
That's an old cooking tradition there.
Oh yeah,
a French
we have a lot of
cooking
woods
tradition.
in our parish.
Yeah.
A lot of woods, and then we associated with the woodlands and that Saline area, wildlife area, which is one of the largest ones in the state, by Catahoula Lake and Lorto Lake. All that complex. That's a big complex of woods. When you go on LA 28 going to Jonesville, Louisiana, you pass through that little part of the country, that bassin, with a lot of bayous and all, a lot of coastline over there. So yeah, and black bear habitat and all, and south near Bruyette, all the way from Bruyette to Bourdonville, woods. So we got a lot of woods. By the way, recently development of hogs, like y'all, the wood hogs. They invasive.
Oh yeah, same thing here.
Highly reproductive.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a problem in future years because as we speak, and they're reproducing. But anyway, the meat,
harming the crops.
The meat is very good, very dry, very good, and so.
Isn't there another tradition there too for Easter?
Yeah, we have Easter egg knocking contest. I believe none like it around, and it's on the Courthouse Square in Marksville, Louisiana. Doggone right. And then we have the Bunkie Corn Festival. And let's see, Bunkie Corn Festival, Easter egg knocking festival on the Courthouse Square. There you knock Easter egg. Like, pop, pop, pop. You pocket. We call it pocking. And jour de Pâques. That's a French term.
It's really competitive too. I've seen articles in the paper about how people. It's a religious sort of holiday because it's on Easter, right?
After Easter Sunday services, you gather at the Courthouse Square. And
it's serious business, isn't it?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And some of them have different recipes on treating their eggs. Of course, the guinea egg is the toughest one.
Exactly.
Some say you feed oyster shell to your chickens and make a thick shell from the calcium in oyster shell.
But that's an old French tradition also.
Yeah, the old pocking, yeah. Not carrying on many places other than a Vals parish. So we kept our old language because of our isolation, I would say. We kept our old language.
And a lot of the traditions, too.
And our traditions. And by the way, I might have left the festival out. Forgive me. Oh, yeah, we have the Crossroads Festival in Hesma. That's just taken up a few years. And it'll plan to be a big one, too. And the farmers in Moraville, they have a farm festival.
Oh, okay.
Louisiana Farm
With
Festival.
Produce.
Yeah, in Moraville. So that's some of our festivals. I hope I didn't leave anyone out. And so that's some of our festivals. And it adds to our culture. All right, the whole topic on here is keeping our French culture, right?
Right.
Okay, and by the way, I've toured France. I toured France in 2006. I was over there and played all over the countryside and the city. I played in Paris and the Windsor Castle, Bourne, where they feature Cajun music. By the way,
any problems speaking with the folks there?
Yes.
You had problems, or it was good?
They speak modern French.
Yeah.
And that's not a put down on Cajun French. Like Mr. Reverend Dago puts in his book, we are our own language, mixed with Spanish, Indian, and French, Old French. And our words are like for new invention, we don't have. We use the American word for it. That's not to shy down on our language. By the way, Italian is an offshoot of Latin. Latin was a base language. And Italian came on, and of course there's a lot of Latin-based languages. They made their own language. Language is evolving constantly. It's not a stable, nothing on this earth is stable all the time.
Except Latin.
It's Latin.
Latin doesn't
with
change.
With the church, yeah. And I guess that's a Roman Catholic church that had preserved the Latin all over the world, so if you go to a mass, you could understand them, but that has been changed too. And so, anyway, in my parish, we're unique. And comparing to Natchitoches Parish, has a rich culture, the Creoles and all, Creole French culture and colonial French culture is over here. The only thing lacking is their language, preserving the Cajun or French language, the Louisiana Creole French language. Creole French
Now,
language.
I have to ask you something really quickly before we run out of time.
Cool.
Tell me about that sculpture right there.
Oh, this was from old house. This was from old house near Moreville, Louisiana. I got it from a house that lived on Mortonville Road. And it was just a more centennial example how they used to join the houses. Of course, you'll have that already. And your pigs. Okay.
And the nails.
And the nails, the square nails, which give a delineation from about 1880 to 1900, maybe. And of course, where they mortise, they tone that beam, the seal. And so I saw it, and that's what's hiding under these seals of beautiful red cypress.
Wow.
This is red cypress. Probably been with the ages, because look at your grains, how close they are. Close grain, red cypress. And some of your buildings over here from red cypress, from the virgin cypress around. And of course we have Cinca cypress from Chaffaline, the bayous, by the lakes, by Big Creek and all. They have sunken logs, Spring Bayou. And anyway, I carved this just as an example to use it in demonstration like this.
Well, that's part of the French culture also, right?
Yes, doing a lot of things. I've made chimneys. I've renovated old houses. Not renovated, but kept them old. And I built my own house for my family. Moved house from Alexandria to turn of the century house. And my kids are living in the back of me now, in it. And I have an old cabin, an old Mayu cabin that I saved from destruction. I like to keep it authentic, like it was, even with holes in the floor. But I like to keep things like that. Now I'm working on Larto Lake. I moved to Larto Lake in cabins. I didn't move residences, but I'm working over there part-time and doing some cabins. I have 2 cabins on there and lakefront. And so things like that evolve. Yeah.
I want to ask you if you would mind playing a little music, but before we do that, does the audience have any questions? This is supposed to be very, very informal, so stop us at any time if you have any questions. But anything before he starts playing?
The one question I have is, what is the name of the language that you speak? You were going back speaking, said Creole, or Canadian.
Creole, Cajun, French.
Creole, Cajun.
So the question was, what exactly version of French? And he says Creole Cajun French.
Yeah, like Creole from the old colony, the old French colony, we have some words from that. And Cajun is an inclusive term of all the French influences.
Yeah, the overarching.
Indian, Spanish.
Yeah.
Whatever, probably Italian, some Italian words too.
The overarching term for is Louisiana French, in that it's a little bit different from, say, Canadian French or French from France. But within that overarching thing of Louisiana French, there are a lot of variations. So it changes wherever you are. There are some Creoles who speak a version of French that is exactly like Cajun French. But then there are people in Avoyelles Parish that speak a slightly different version of French. There are people in the New Orleans area that speak what they call Creole French that's very different from, and Arnaudville. They speak a French that's different from Cajun French. So it doesn't mean you can't understand them. It's just a slightly different version.
When you go to coastal Louisiana, they use the terms for saltwater fish and all, and sharks and all that have died out in our parish. You know, we don't use those terms. We have some term for oyster is sweet and all that. They're all butter shrimp. We call them chevrets. So I went to the chevrets for the shrimp. So I went to France. And I said I was going to make a gumbo in the Alpine region. A Cajun gumbo they wanted me to make. With some truffles. The lady was humming truffles on the mountain. with a little dog, she said, a truffle dog she had. And I said, man, put that in there. Put that in the gumbo. To see how it tastes. So we put the truffles in the gumbo and all. And we had some kind of French sausage with some tomatoes in it. But anyway, it came out all right.
That was an expensive gumbo, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With
But anyway, they say it's not your bread, it's crevette. But that could be a deviation. It's not to say our word was wrong. We might have an older word than they might use a modern form of the word. So they say it's crevette. And they're probably right. But anyway, that's our language. Hey, you go, I was reading where the Indians had more than 300 varieties of language in Louisiana around the south, the tribes, the American natives. And that's very interesting. A lot of them, they did not have where the derivation was and where they came from. And they've forgotten now because a lot of them died, the language. But it's unique that we have our culture. That's my old stump that's been with me all over.
Did you understand what he was saying? Yeah, easy, right? Thank you for our new song.
Oh yeah, you open out that. All right. Any more questions? I'll be glad to answer. Anything you got?
I got a question.
Yeah.
Of all the different performances that you do and all the different festivals, the house things, I know you visit the nursing homes and
right.
that kind of thing. I was just wondering, out of all those, what is the most rewarding when you go to it,
Well, nursing home are very rewarding because there we say the prayers in French. And that, by the way, I forgot to mention that. That's coming on too. The Coderfield movement has gone into the nursing homes for the older folks, but we need to get it with the younger folks because our older folks are, they're dying, And but anyway, we do our rosaries, and while they recite we recite the whole rosary in French, and that's very rewarding, and it's preserving our culture as well. But then we have to get the young people in the act before we lose it. I'd like to get something instituted in this parish right here. And y'all have a rich French culture that would start with the language. You got to plant the seed, you know, we have to plant the seed and watch it grow. Man, y'all have, before New Orleans, this was formed over here. It's a pity that it's dying so much in all our areas. And the young people, we need to get a knowledge of the history of Louisiana. The history of how it got to be like it is. How we got to be special in the world. No proud I was in when I went to that Windsor Castle. And they had a Cajun band in England by the name of Driftwood. And they were looking at me, man, like, oh, he's big stuff. And at home, I big stuff, you know. And so it really revealed. You got to get out of your area to realize your heritage, how important it is to other people. Out of maybe 300,000, if that's that much population, those who can talk French out of that population, not too many these days. Maybe 50,000. Maybe. And a lot of them must say they can talk, but they ne peuvent pas conduire une conversation en Cajun. But it's good. We need to get a count on that, you know, on how many in this area. Or there's some old French families over here on the old homes and all. Are they preserving their heritage, their language?
Not much.
I'd like to see this get preserved over here. Mm-hmm. One of the oldest towns in Louisiana, French towns too. And Saint Denis with that beautiful love story he had with the Spanish commander.
Right.
Mr. Fuqua knows that one. And so anyway, y'all have a proud heritage, and we need to get the language in here. Any way I can help, I'll be proud to.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said some Codafil stuff. We need to get Codafil here. Mm-hmm. And we need to go to the nursing homes, right?
Nursing homes, and find out those who talk French.
Exactly.
And have them go to the schools, have resource personnel. Some of those people are dying to get out of the nursing home to tell what we know. If they would put me in a nursing home, I could get a stroke or something. I'd love to get out and just do that. Right now, carpenter work and everything else, too much. Of course, mowing grass as well, which is something else. And shredding, but on a tractor. But anyway, yeah, they love to share their talents. And I'm sure there's some old French speakers in this area that we need to uncover. And they're in the nursing homes.
Exactly.
And use them as resource personnel. And probably a type of French over here, like by Cane River. Maybe Creole French, a little different than maybe Marksville or something. But I did see the jujune tree when I went by Cane River.
They call that a ZZ.
A ZZ. That jujune tree, I was going by Cane River. I said, man, I feel like home. That's some jujune trees. It's a, Chinese date? A Chinese date tree. And but anyway, I think it was from the old ages, like Marco Polo and all, brought it from the East. I was in France, and in the backyard, they had just the same plants that we have like in the Valls Parish. It was a vineyard, a wine orchard, and it had some jujunes, pomegranates, the grenade, and let's see, there was one of them. Jujune and a fig tree.
I was going to ask if it was
figs. Yeah, the
yeah.
old fig tree that follows the Cajuns. With the jujune. We call them jujune. And that's not to say it's wrong pronunciation. It's how we say it. When you're speaking with the locals, that's how we say it. And who knows, we're probably right.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you keep emphasizing that's how we do it. That's how
right.
we do it. It's not wrong, it's not right, it's how we do it. Because a lot of people who sort of speak French don't feel confident enough because it's not the correct French.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that doesn't, Reverend Jules Daigle, on his book, on that dictionary, most of them don't read the introduction. Read the introduction, how we streamline verbs. Because if you want to go real French, you'll never learn all those verb conjugations in your lifetime. Oh, more than 2,000. I don't want to learn that. I'll tell you the truth. I don't want to learn all those. I don't have time in my life to do that.
So you operate at.
And it turns you off. It turns you off, man. And the young people, imagine they don't speak that every day. How are they going to learn that? They can teach in school, but it's so abstract. You know, like people take courses and all in now, as far as nouns, learn the basis and all that, it's good. It instruct them. And they might get a catch on some of the phrases. But we streamlined all that. The Cajuns, with our common sense, has streamlined that language, much like the Italians did with Latin.
And I think one of the things that is really, really a strong advocate for speaking French in your area, which is what you keep saying, go talk to farmers, go talk to people in your area.
Talk to the common people.
Because they'll tell you the words for things that you see every day. If you're reading in French out of a textbook, how many of us are going to get on the underground or, you know, get on Martco or something like that, you know, for traveling, or get on a train or this or that. But if they're talking to people within their own area, then they're going to get the words for the things that they see every day and the things that they do every day.
I had a lot of, well, I'd say some respect when I went to France and tell them that je suis dans la collinée de Louisiana, la vieille collinée, le français de Napoléon et Louis XIV. I said I was from the old French colony and we talked. C'est un moyen un peu différent de France moderne. So a little different than modern French. And I said, yeah, and they appreciate it. They appreciate it and looked up to me, not looked down. And yeah, I enjoyed that.
Well, you're giving them a part of their history back, weren't you?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. There was a lawyer in France, downtown France. It was during the noontime, and I lost my way to my apartment, which was on Rue Saint-Maur. And so I said, Mademoiselle, tu veux, j'ai perdu mon appartement. Tu connais Rue Saint-Maur? Où c'est? I was telling her where it was and all that. So she took her time out. They say they snobby and all, but then the French people are courteous. Very. If you don't look down on them and you treat them with respect. And she went out of the way and led me to where I could recognize things. Oh, yeah. So, and over the countryside, I wanted to hit not the tourist areas, but I wanted to go in the country with the real people. I was in the mountain areas, and oh, by the way, one of our French musicians was over there in '76, and a fella played the Cajun accordion, and he was in the mountain. He raised wheat, 2 types of wheat. He raised a type of cattle and petite vache, a little cattle that was hairy and all, and in the mountainside. And I said, man, how you learn on the accordion? And he ordered a Cajun accordion. And on the mountain I was at, they were making Cajun accordions.
Oh, wow.
Monsieur Fordet, he came at my house 2 years ago. He signed the wall at my house, on my cabin. And so anyway, I said, how you learn that? He took out a little antique cassette. He took out a little cassette from 1976, and he had played over Mr. Dewey Balfour, had given him.
Wow.
From the Balfour Brothers.
Yeah.
That first album over there. And he still had it, man. It was all beaten up and all, but he preserved it. And he had an old 1600 house, old 16th century house. Good fella. So,
all right, we've got to cut this out now. But
all right.
I want to thank you so much for being here. We appreciate how much information you've given us, and hope you come again.
Oh, I would love to. I like
right,
to
great.
talk.
Thank you.
Know that. Thank you all for being such a good audience. Merci beaucoup bien.